Hi, I'm Briar. Life's been a roller coaster since I was 7. That's when my mom dropped me off at a gas station and never came back. I remember sitting on that cold bench for hours, watching the sunset while some attendant kept eyeing me like I was going to steal something. Then this fancy black car pulls up and out steps Thomas Reynolds in his perfect suit, looking lost as ever trying to pump his own gas. "You been here all day, kid?" I just nodded, too tired to even cry anymore. "Where's your parents?" "Mom said she'd be right back. That was this morning." Something changed in his eyes then. Thomas called the police, stayed with me through the whole mess, and somehow, through some miracle I still don't understand, ended up becoming my guardian when nobody claimed me. From cardboard box apartments to his mansion in one weird day. 20 years later, I'm heading up the marketing division at Reynolds Enterprises. Not bad for a throwaway kid. Those quarterly projections are impressive, Briar. The board's thrilled. Thomas beams at me across his massive desk, gray hair making him look even more distinguished than when he found me. "Just doing my job, though I think we should push harder on the digital campaign. Always the overachiever. Speaking of achievements, Eleanor and I are hosting a dinner party tonight. You'll be there?" Ah, Eleanor. Thomas married her just 6 months ago after a whirlwind romance. She's everything I'm not. Polished, refined, from good family. She's always smiling, always perfect. "Wouldn't miss it. Need me to bring anything?" "Just yourself. Eleanor's handling everything." I'm sure she is. Later at the office, I'm venting to Jessica, my best friend since college and our HR director. "Look at this email. Briar, darling, please wear something appropriate tonight. The Andersons will be there. Like I'm gonna show up in sweats or something." Jessica snorts. The shade of it all. "You know she requested personnel files for the executive team yesterday, including yours?" "She what? Why would she need those?" "Said it was for planning the company anniversary party. Seemed fishy to me." Everything about her is fishy. Thomas doesn't see it. He's too smitten. "You think she's after his money?" "I think she's after something. Nobody falls in love that fast with a man 30 years older." That night at the mansion, I'm arranging flowers in the dining room when I hear Eleanor's voice from Thomas's study. The door's cracked open. "Yes, everything's proceeding as planned. No, he doesn't suspect anything. His precious Briar is becoming a problem, though. Yes, I know what we discussed. Don't worry, I can handle her." The old man trusts me completely. My blood runs cold. I step back, nearly knocking over a vase. Who the hell is she talking to? And what exactly is she planning with Thomas? Eleanor's voice drops to a whisper. "I need to go. We'll move to phase 2 after I secure access to the accounts. Yes. Goodbye." I duck around the corner just as the study door opens. One thing's for sure, whoever Eleanor really is, she's not here for love, and I'm not about to let her hurt the only parent who ever wanted me. I barely slept that night. By morning, I was on a mission. I waited until Eleanor left for her charity lunch before sneaking into their bedroom. Not my proudest moment, but desperate times and all that. "What exactly are you doing in here, Briar?" I nearly jumped out of my skin. Jessica stood in the doorway, eyebrows raised. "Jesus! Don't sneak up on me like that. I'm looking for evidence." "Evidence of what? And you better have a good explanation before I decide whether to help or report you." I told her about the phone call, watching her expression shift from skepticism to concern. "That's sketchy as hell. Start with her laptop. Password protected. Phone records? Nothing unusual. But then I found a small notebook tucked inside her pillowcase. Coordinates? And a time for today. Let's find out what she's really up to at her charity lunch." 2 hours later, we were parked across from Harborview Cafe, watching Eleanor laughing with a man I'd never seen before. "Who's that guy?" Jessica whispered, snapping photos with her phone. "No idea, but they seem awfully friendly for a business meeting." The man handed Eleanor a flash drive. I zoomed in with my phone camera. "Got his face. Let's run it through the company database when we get back." Back at the office, Jessica hit pay dirt. "Marcus Dawson, financial consultant specializing in corporate acquisitions." Why would Eleanor be meeting with Briar? "In my office, please." Thomas's voice cut through the room, unusually stern. In his office, Thomas wasn't alone. Eleanor sat primly beside his desk, looking concerned. Eleanor tells me you've been accessing confidential files. My stomach dropped. What? That's not... She noticed unauthorized access to my personal accounts from your computer. That's impossible. I would never... Eleanor placed a hand on Thomas's arm. Darling, I hate to say this, but the logs don't lie. Perhaps Briar is feeling insecure about her position now that we're married. That's ridiculous. Thomas, she's lying. Enough. I've always trusted you, Briar, but this evidence is concerning. Take the rest of the week off while I investigate this further. I was fuming when I left the building. Eleanor had somehow framed me. And worse, Thomas believed her. The next morning, a knock at my apartment door changed everything. Hello, Briar. The woman standing there was older, haggard, but I'd recognize those eyes anywhere. My own stared back at me every morning in the mirror. Vanessa? Can I come in? I've been looking for you. 20 years too late. I deserve that, but I need to talk to you about Thomas Reynolds and his wife. My blood ran cold. How do you know about them? Because Eleanor hired me to find you. She said she wanted to reunite us, but I don't think that's the truth. Why would she? She's been asking strange questions. About your childhood. About how much you remember. Remember what? About your father. About who Thomas Reynolds really is to you. I felt dizzy. Thomas is my guardian. He took me in when you abandoned me. Vanessa looked down. No, Briar. Thomas is your biological father. And Eleanor knows it. I staggered backward. That's impossible. Thomas would have told me. Vanessa pushed past me into my apartment. He didn't know at first. By the time he figured it out, he was already your guardian. So you just handed me off to my own father without telling either of us? And now you expect me to believe you care? I was young, strung out. When I got clean years later, I tried to find you. I called Jessica immediately. Run a deep background check on Eleanor and Marcus Dawson. 3 hours later, Jessica arrived with a folder. Eleanor Miller doesn't exist, at least not before 5 years ago. She's actually Patricia Dawson, Marcus's sister. They've pulled this con before. Marry wealthy men, poison them, inherit everything. My phone rang. Thomas's housekeeper. Miss Briar, Mr. Reynolds collapsed. Ambulance taking him to Memorial now. At the hospital, the doctor whispered. His symptoms suggest some kind of toxin, but we can't identify it. I cornered Jessica. We need to get into the house. Tonight. Vanessa was waiting outside the mansion. I know the layout. I was there last week. We set up cameras in key rooms, then searched Eleanor's things, finding a locked box in her closet safe. Vanessa picked the lock with surprising skill. Not my first rodeo. Inside, vials of clear liquid and documents with a timeline. Look, Thomas incapacitated by August, declared incompetent by September, assets transferred by October. She's poisoning him systematically, Jessica whispered, photographing everything. As we left, Vanessa grabbed my arm. I'm sorry, for everything. You're right. It changes nothing. 20 years too late for sorry. What can I do to make it right? Help me take Eleanor down, then disappear again. Back at my apartment, we watched the camera feeds. At 2 a.m., Eleanor made a call. Marcus, the old man's deteriorating faster than expected. The doctors are getting suspicious. Once he's declared incompetent, I'll have power of attorney. I've already planted evidence that the girl's been embezzling. I turned to Jessica. We need to move fast. Tomorrow, she returns to the hospital. What's the plan? I pulled out a notebook. 3 scenarios mapped out. All end with Eleanor in handcuffs, and Thomas knowing exactly who tried to kill him. And the evidence against you? Already traced it back to her laptop. Now we just need to catch her in the act. What about your mother? Jessica asked quietly. I glanced at Vanessa, who was nervously pacing. She's a means to an end. Nothing more. I laid out the final plan. Jessica, you'll monitor the camera feeds. Vanessa, you'll distract Marcus when he arrives. I'll be at the hospital. What if she tries something there? Jessica asked. I pulled out a small device. This will record everything. The doctors are already on alert. One wrong move and she's done. Briar, Vanessa said softly. Be careful. She's dangerous. So am I. And unlike her, I have nothing to lose. Morning at Memorial Hospital. I positioned myself in the hallway alcove, watching Thomas's room. Eleanor arrived with her coffee tumbler and purse. Mrs. Reynolds, I'll need to check that bag. The nurse we'd briefed blocked the doorway. This is ridiculous. I'm his wife. While they argued, I slipped into Thomas's room. Hidden camera activated, I waited. Minutes later, Eleanor entered alone, approaching the IV line. She pulled a small vial from her sleeve. Just one more dose, darling, and all your troubles will be over. I stepped out. Along with your freedom. Eleanor froze. Briar, I was just... Poisoning him? Yeah, we know. Got it all on camera, plus the stash in your closet. The police are outside. Her face transformed from shock to rage. You little bitch, do you have any idea who you're dealing with? Patricia Dawson, con artist, sister to Marcus Dawson, currently being detained downstairs. As officers cuffed her, Eleanor spat. He never loved you, just kept you around out of guilt. At least his feelings were real, unlike yours. 3 days later, Thomas was awake when I visited. My girl, always saving the day. How much did they tell you? Everything. About Eleanor, about Vanessa, about who you really are to me. So it's true? You're my biological father? Yes, DNA test confirmed it years ago. Why didn't you tell me? I was afraid you'd hate me for not finding you sooner. Then it seemed easier to be the hero who rescued you than the father who failed you. You never failed me. She did. Vanessa was waiting in the lobby when I left. How is he? Recovering, no thanks to you. Briar, please, I've changed. Maybe we could... No, you don't get to abandon a child then waltz back when it's convenient. I was sick then. Addiction. Explains your actions. Doesn't excuse them. 2 weeks later, the media frenzy around Eleanor and Marcus's arrest had decimated their reputation. Marcus's financial firm collapsed overnight. At the mansion, Thomas called me into his study. I've updated my will. Everything goes to you. The company, the holdings, all of it. I don't need your money. Not about money. It's about legacy. About making things right. Later, Jessica and I toasted our victory. So, happily ever after? I laughed. Not exactly. My bio-mom's a junkie, my stepmom's a would-be murderer, and my dad hid the truth for 20 years. But you won. Eleanor's facing life, Marcus is bankrupt, and Thomas made you his heir. The phone rang. Vanessa again. I declined the call, blocking the number permanently. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. What would you have done in Briar's position? Would you have forgiven Vanessa and given her a second chance after all those years? Or do you agree with Briar's decision to cut her biological mother out of her life completely? Some might say everyone deserves redemption after genuine change, while others believe that abandoning a child crosses an unforgivable line. What are your thoughts on where to draw that line between forgiveness and self-protection? Share your opinion in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story of revenge and justice, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more compelling stories. Thanks for watching.